if you think you have COVID, is go and seek medical advice immediately. In this video, I'll be going through the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of what I went through this time last year with COVID, how I overcame that and how I got back to running. For those of you who've been regular subscribers with me will know that I adopt a no-nonsense approach, not just to running, but to life in general. So if you are new here and you like that type of approach, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and set the alarm bell. And with a topic like this around COVID, please do share this video amongst other people who you could do with some help overcoming whatever illness they may have and want to get back to running, because not only will I be covering how I overcome in terms of COVID, but also some steps and people might call life hacks of how we get back into running with various setbacks, illnesses, injuries. As I said at the beginning, I do adopt a no-nonsense approach to life and apply that to my running, which is what I'm doing right now. It's Monday the 10th. This is my first run since London Marathon on October the 2nd. So I've taken a whole week off from running and rested. That's what I do. That's what I've done this time, and it works for me. What works for you might be something different, and it's the same when we catch COVID. Running after COVID or any form of illness can be a bit of a tricky situation. How can we push? What do we need to do? Because everybody's body reacts differently to illnesses, viruses, sickness, in the same way that we recover from marathons. I've taken a whole week off of zero running. That's just me personally this time. I did do something different at Manchester. Didn't really work for me, so I'm trying something different, going back to old school. But it's the same way when we deal with illnesses as such and how our bodies react. And also right now, speaking of bodies react, whilst it's bright and sunny, it's only 7 degrees Celsius, which for me is cold. So I'm wrapped up in layers, leggings to keep myself warm. That's me. I know my body. That's how my body is. But to someone else, they'll be quite happy running in Bahama shorts and vest and feeling, wow, this is great. Yeah, but they're different. So it's the same when it comes to COVID. We're all different. We all react differently, but there are some common things that happen, which is what I'll be going through, and how that might help you overcome and look and make your decisions as what's best for you. Catching COVID or any form of illness, virus, disease, our bodies, everybody responds in different ways. In the same way our bodies respond in different ways when running a marathon, but there's some common threads there, what we can work on. And then also with recovery from a marathon, some people can do a run straight after, some the following day. For me, my recovery is 8 days. 8 days after marathon, and I'm just doing a nice easy jiggy jog just to get things moving. So we need to allow our body to recover. Running after COVID is no different. We need to allow our bodies to recover so we can get back to enjoying our running. And as this channel's all about, it is for the joy of running. So that's my jiggy jog complete. Just an easy 20 minutes. Let's go inside now and discuss in detail what I went through in October last year. Running after COVID, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. I'm producing this video to help hopefully give you some hope, because I've been there, got the t-shirt, overcome it, and feel great right now. And I hope you will too, because there's going to be a number of people who've tuned into this video. Either you have COVID, you've had COVID, or you're wondering what to do if you do get COVID. So hopefully this video will give you some hope. And I have a quote that I'd like to go through. and recite it for you. Every situation in life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure you enjoy and receive it fully. And when life is not so good, remember that it will not last forever and better days are on the way. So if you have COVID right now and you're not feeling good, better days are on the way. Believe me, believe me. So I'm going to go through the 3 stages, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Number 1, the good. Yes, there is good. If you've been following me for the past 12 months minimum, if longer, then you'll see what's been happening. Yes, the past 12 months, I have achieved some amazing feats in running. You know, now in my 60s, 61 coming up to 62, but the past 12 months I've been running now 7 years. I started running in my mid-50s, and this 12 months I've achieved parkrun PBs, half marathon PBs. I was literally seconds away from beating my PB of 4 years previously in Chicago at marathon distance. And I got in London that Guinness World Record, which on top of that was 12 weeks after major surgery. So getting back after COVID, there is some good. You may be wondering, what about the 10K distance? Well, I did do 1 or 2 10Ks. I think it might have been only 1. And I wasn't feeling too good. And I got under sub 40 minutes. But will I get a PB this year? Well, be sure to click on that subscribe button, hit the alarm bell, because I will be doing a series over the next 10 weeks, or is it 9 weeks, where I'll be aiming to smash that PB at 10K distance this coming December at a race where I'm hoping to qualify for England Masters. But there's already been good in the past 12 months. I'm sure you would agree. Now, this is where it starts to get a bit, well, bad. Yeah, the bad. Before I go into the downright ugly, the bad. As I may have mentioned a number of times, and I'm sure you're aware of this, you don't need me to explain the bleeding obvious, do we? We're all different, and how we react to not just getting COVID, but getting any other form of illness, we all respond differently. But from my own experience, it was literally by the Wednesday after Yorkshire Marathon. So I'd ran 2 marathons within 2 weeks. By the Wednesday night, I was sick as a dog. Yeah, unable to breathe properly, and I was getting all sorts of palpitations and concerns. Now, it'd been a number of days after that where I wasn't really getting any sleep at all, and it was causing me a lot of stress and anxiety, let alone unable to breathe properly. For me, just to give a bit of background, being in my 60s puts me in the high risk category regarding COVID or any respiratory issues. In addition to that, I'm in a high risk category because of my family history in terms of heart conditions and strokes. My mother passed away sadly with a massive stroke. My father, 10 years ago, had heart bypass surgery, again, heart condition, and my younger brother has had 2 heart attacks. He's still alive, thank God, but there you have some family history. So for me, I was having to deal with not being able to breathe, and it was more the anxiety and the stress of what I may have, and that fear, dare I say it, the fear of dying. Now, I don't want to over dramatize it, you know, that fear was very real there, because I've had family members who have sadly died from COVID. Yeah, there was a lot to deal with, and those 3 days, 4 days where it was really, really bad on me. As I say, I couldn't sleep. Thankfully, I was staying at the time just after Yorkshire Marathon, staying with some friends and their family, and to be honest, I'm so grateful to them, because I was literally being nursed and just doing all the things that I could do to try and help alleviate it. I was taking all sorts of basic flu drugs, yeah, for me, and drinking more ginger tea than I could shake a stick at, and just keeping my hydration because my temperature was high and there was a lot going on. But that's the bad part, yeah, and we all overcome that. For me, the bad time had passed. I literally had, from the 17th of October, whilst in that month of October I had some running, and it was mainly the 2 marathons, London Marathon and Yorkshire Marathon. I didn't really do any running at all, and certainly after finishing Yorkshire, I had the rest of October off of 0 running. I wasn't in any rush and I wasn't in any fit state really to be running. And this is where it starts to get downright ugly now. I had 0 running throughout the rest of October, as I say, from the 17th of October. In October, I'd managed to run 124 kilometers, which basically as 84 kilometers of that is a marathon. I'd literally just done, an extra 40 odd kilometers in those 2 weeks, which for me, as you may know if you've been following me a while, it's not a lot at all. So very little running and 0 running after Yorkshire Marathon. And this is where I want to give you hope in some way, because come November, I did step up the mileage, but all of the mileage was easy. In November, I'd stepped up to 275 kilometers. And in that, at the end of November, I did have the Derby half marathon. And this is where I was beginning to realize that trying to push my body to a particular limit, it couldn't cope. I was still, I think some people, they call this long COVID. I still hadn't recovered. I still had respiratory issues and I was unable to breathe properly. And it was a really tough day out at the office, as they say. I managed to come in 91 minutes, 1 hour 31, which is an impeccable time. Yeah, but compared to the times I'd been doing before, that was a really hard struggle. And this is where I needed to come to realize that I needed to be more monitoring in terms of my efforts and times and be patient. Patience. I mean, sometimes we're sent things to challenge us, and patience is often the key that we need to learn. And me, with my Italian temperament, patience is not a very good virtue I have. Then we come to December, still hadn't fully recovered. Yeah, so we're now going into the 2nd month of not full recovery. Again, it was basically easy runs. Lots of runs, but all very easy. But I was struggling doing those. And for whatever reason, whether it be my flippantness or my doggedness, determination, I just kept pushing. And this was beginning to have an effect on me, an adverse effect. Because in December, I managed to run 327 kilometers, which included the Worcester Ring Run and the Keyworth Turkey Trot half marathon. Thankfully, the Worcester Ring Run was an easy run for me. I did pick up the pace a little towards the end, but again, really struggled when I started to pick up the pace. And a week later, I had the Keyworth Turkey Trot, where that was really difficult. And my chest and pains there, it was not a good idea. And hopefully you guys will learn from that. I mean, I've certainly learned is pushing our bodies when we haven't fully recovered is not good. Added to that, I was having the stress and anxieties of moving house as well and getting a property, purchasing a property and moving to a new location. That comes with its other stresses and anxieties as well. And then you would have seen in January where I still hadn't recovered and I kept recatching various coughs. And basically I had a persistent cough which was now going on for nearly 3 months. And it was really bugging me big time. Now, a cough, persistent cough, is one of the COVID symptoms. Unfortunately, here in the UK, we were unable to see GPs and we were having to wait weeks to see GPs. So I just went into a walk-in pharmacist and spoke to the pharmacist there and asked about my cough issues, explained the symptoms, and she diagnosed a particular type of cough syrup medicine. I started taking that, and also trying to get more sleep and rest and recover. And within a number of weeks, the cough cleared and I seem to have cleared. And that's when that month of January was my biggest month of the year, biggest month I've ever ran. Now, admittedly, it was almost a 5-week month, but that month I'd ran 473 kilometers, but 99.9% of that was all super easy, or what I call jiggy jog, easy pace, shakeout runs, whatever you want to call it, super easy. Now, when we're doing that form of exercise, if we have some form of virus, disease, illness, it can delay the recovery. And this is where, in terms of, as I say, I'm not a medical practitioner. If I was to give any hints, tips, advice, is the more rest we have, the quicker the illness, disease will go through our body, because it has to clear through our system. Viruses come in there and they attack our systems, COVID, it's all about our respiratory, our lungs, alveoli, bronchioli. Do you remember that from our biology lessons at school? For me, it was many decades ago, but I still remember that. And it does have an impact, so I needed to let that clear through and flush through my system. By the end of January, I was then picking up the pace. February, getting back into training. So I had 3 months of not good stuff at all. And to me, that was downright ugly. I wasn't able to really achieve or push. What are the indicators that we look for in terms of have we overcome it? The key indicator I look at is heart rate, effort. I don't look at paces or anything like that. I've never really looked at that. And I'll talk more in another video about pacing strategy during a marathon and how I was able to keep a consistent pace throughout London Marathon by basically monitoring my effort. I hope in some way that this video has given you some hope. There is running after COVID. Right now, if you have COVID, if you've just caught it and you're in bed and you can't breathe properly, I understand how you feel because I've been there. It's not good, especially times for me when I was feeling like someone was pressing on my chest, pushing on it or holding it down, almost someone sitting on me. And that's why often when I was in bed, I couldn't lie down. It felt like someone was pushing on me. I had to sit up and try and breathe that way and control and monitor it in some way there. I really do hope this gives you hope. And please do share this video amongst your friends, family, wherever, if they're struggling, whether it be with COVID or any form of illness, that we need to just let our bodies rest, recover, because if we just keep pushing and keep pushing, something's going to break. I say this is a message of hope. I hope you've enjoyed this in some way and found it useful, informative, educational, because I'm just sharing my experiences of how I started running after COVID, and I'm sure you will too. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you've had COVID and what your experiences were from it, or any other form of illnesses. Leave it in the comments below, because we do have a wonderful community here on this channel where people share their knowledge, experiences to help each other. Thank you so much for watching. As I always say at the very end, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that alarm bell, and hopefully I'll continue to share some amazing videos. With the next one coming up is of the Worcester Beacon Run, where I was on Saturday. So thank you all so much for watching. Love you all. Peace out. Take care. Bye bye bye.